after.
Midnight.
Good clap.
Great clap.
Here we are again.
At the studio.
At the place where we record these things.
Yes.
That we do.
Yeah, what do?
We talk too much.
Yeah. We've gotten a lot better about it, at least.
At talking?
Yeah, well, I would say both at the talking, what we talk about, and the length of time that we talk.
Yeah.
Because we used to just, even you and I would just sit there for an hour and 45 minutes.
And ramble.
And yeah, about what? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Had fun doing it.
Yeah. I think it's charming.
Listen, these are for us.
They are.
All right.
It's okay. You know, this is our time.
Yeah.
Where we get to talk. You will hear us.
Yeah. We don't ever get to talk outside of this.
Never.
You know?
In fact, we probably should learn how to use our podcast skills of not talking so much outside of the podcast.
Well, I feel like I talk too much.
Agreed.
All the time.
Yes.
You know, have I ever told you that they legitimately tried to hold me back in kindergarten? Not because I was bad or at doing anything, but because I was too social.
Too social.
Too sociable. Yeah, they said that it was
normally that's a good thing.
Like immature. Like yeah, but it was like I couldn't focus on anything other than wanting to hang out and talk to people and get to know people. So they wanted to hold me back for that.
I mean, it sounds like you'd be great for like an HR department though.
God, no. That sounds awful.
You don't want to deal with other people's problems?
I'm surprised I'm not in the HR office weekly.
Yeah,
there's no way they would want me to work in there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're there enough.
You can't beat them joining them.
Yeah, start filing some papers away.
Yeah, could you imagine if I just all of a sudden became like a super
like
docile person?
Office person.
Yeah.
Just like a suit.
Just normal, like doesn't say out of pocket stuff all the time.
I don't know. I feel like you come from that generation of like. Let me think of a good way of putting it. It's okay. It's a small earthquake.
Wow. I'm not that much fucking older than you, bud.
Well, no, but I mean, like that couple of years, like 2-3 years difference between us.
Yeah, I'm 28.
Yeah, I'm 26.
Yeah.
So, but I think those years were enough as far as like the culture goes, if that makes sense. Because like, I guess what I'm alluding to is like,
I do it for the culture.
Some other people I know that are like your age and also were like into heavier music or like the emo scene or whatever, like
still
skated
runs
a lot.
through my blood.
Yes, like that kind of like crowd, like around the late 20s, early 30s mark. I've watched kind of still have the tattoos and the nose rings, but go into like an office job and be pretty normal and functional at that. But
at work,
I don't know that it's necessarily for everyone.
My therapist is a prime example.
Yeah,
my therapist is like sleeved up,
yeah,
beard. I don't think he has a nose ring anymore, but like
at a point, dude.
I mean, he looks like
grungy
a bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
which he used to be.
Fair enough.
Because I was talking to him about this last week, actually.
They do say that bartenders make great therapists.
Yeah, well, yeah, right? Because I equated it to that. Because I don't know, I just got to thinking on the way over there, and I was like, you know, I got to ask,
kind of different, yeah.
I was like, so like, you know, when I worked in customer service, it was all custom tailored to the customer, right? So like, if you see a grandpa walk in, you don't go, yeah, what the fuck's up, man? Like, there's a certain way you present yourself toward, and you can get a good read on people by the way they dress, act, talk, you know, body language and whatnot.
I made that mistake at Chick-fil-A terribly one time.
God, that's the worst place to make that mistake. And so I was like, do you do that? I was like, I have to imagine you do that. Because when you sit down and you talk to me, you talk to me like we're sitting at a bar and, you know, we've known each other forever. Like, you're not scared to just be yourself. But I have to imagine if you have a, you know, middle-aged man or woman in here and they're like, they present themselves very put together and mature, like, you know, there's no way you're still like
that you kind of mirror.
There's no way that you're like, damn, dude, that fucking sucks. Like, he was like, it's all custom tailored, but I just think it's interesting.
Well, it's funny how much even that is still really like a big customer service job too.
Yeah, therapy?
Yeah.
It's 100% customer service.
Right, because it's sort of about having bedside manner. Because if you look at a lot of therapy, and I think this is really one of the reasons why like therapy-based like cults like you can say Scientology might, kind of be in that category of things. Like why they work so well is because, at least my perspective on psychology and on like therapy, like literally the therapy and like how it works, I think that it's very broad and like really vague in a lot of ways. Because like you pretty much could self-analyze your way out of anything. Like, you could pretty much figure it out, like, what the issue is.
Right.
Like, there's not a lot of problems where you can't kind of just go, well, it was this person's fault, or it was my person's fault, or it was my own personal fault, or, this is what I should do. Kind of crappy. Like, yeah, like, even the what you should do part, like, you can pretty much surmise what that is, but you're paying a therapist really to sort of, like, be nice to you as you go through that journey, or kind of push you in a direction that's uncomfortable too sometimes.
Well,
and you need that. It's like a coach.
Kinda, yeah. Well, because, a good therapist, I get what you're saying, and I know that you don't mean that they try to manipulate the way you think, but a good therapist doesn't push, they ask. And so
that's what I mean, though, is it's sort of like it's really just self-serving, because what you're doing is you're going in and being like, I know the answer to this.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I want you to hold my hand and walk me through.
How much money I would save a month if I could take my own advice? Because like the problem is, man, for me, like my biggest issue is, if you were going through something, I am pretty confident and comfortable saying that I could give you good, solid advice if that's what you were seeking.
Right. Like if I actually wanted to listen to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not good at taking my own advice, though. Right. I will know exactly what I should and should not do in a situation.
Yeah.
And I don't have the willpower to listen to myself because I am compulsive.
Yeah.
Or impulsive, not compulsive. I am impulsive.
It can be both.
It is both for me.
Yeah.
I will be like, fake situation. Let's say you're about to send a text to an ex and you know that you shouldn't do it. Like, you know that you shouldn't do it. Right. You know that it's not going to get you anywhere.
The compulsion is to just do it without thinking.
You'll have it typed out, and I'll be looking at it, and I'll be like, man, I should not do that. It's the dumbest thing, man. It's so dumb. I think of therapy more so as a place just to vent.
Yeah, it is a lot of being able to vent.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not just venting, because he's definitely good at asking questions that makes me think from a different perspective. Yeah. And I think that it has helped me already to a degree. Yeah. But it's weird.
I think the perspective shifts are really the thing you're paying for, because like that stuff is all out there. Like you could find things that would shift your perspective naturally anyway, but it's more of a direct approach to it. It's more of a shortcut in a sense. Like you can just kind of go, hey, you've studied this for a really long time, and you probably can like tell me how to do this better than me, just like meandering.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think therapy really. I don't think we needed it as much in the past. It was kind of like one of the conclusions I came to when I was thinking about this the other day, which is why I got on this little side tangent to begin with. But I was thinking about just like greater psychology and like really like applied to therapy and like how that really just works like historically, because you don't really see it pop up until like the early like 1900s. And the conclusion I kind of came to was like, no wonder we didn't really need this as much in the past, because we were in sort of like closed societies where you had probably like much deeper friendships. You probably had like clergymen.
It was more of a village.
Yeah, like you.
So how far in the past are we talking?
Well, I mean,
are we talking colonies or are we talking the 50s?
Yeah, you could probably say both in a sense, though it became way more popular during the 50s. That was kind of like the uptick in normalization of therapy and stuff like that.
Well, I think that we've probably always needed therapy in some degree, because dude, all therapy is just talking to somebody and gaining new perspective. But the problem is, for a long time, it's like a very new thought almost. It's very early on that the whole like, toxic masculinity, and like, so it's a very new thing to confront your emotions instead of bury your emotions, because for a long time it's always been like, quit bitching, dude. Like, especially if you're a man, it's like, dude, put yourself together, okay? Stop. You got right? Life sucks for everybody, so just quit complaining about it, bottle it all up, and then, like we've said on here before, you die of a heart attack at 50 because you're too, it's almost like it's frowned upon to feel something.
Yeah.
It's like a very new thing. I think like millennials and especially Gen Z are pushing the movement of like men's mental health.
Yes,
and, like, not being scared to confront and talk about your emotions.
Yeah, I would agree completely. I think that it's a byproduct. Well, okay, so what I was going to tie all that into, actually...
Sorry.
No, that worked out perfectly, because you really kind of, like, illuminated the path to what I was going to say, which was that I think throughout the 20s into, like, the 90s, I guess you'd say, therapy sort of rose in popularity, and I think a lot of it had to do with work culture and the way that we spent more time at work, because more people were having more demanding, higher paying jobs, were willing to over caffeinate and make the sacrifices to work longer, different, harder hours. You have the Industrial Revolution, all this stuff. So work culture is becoming more demanding. Family life is becoming less the standard. You're not on the farm with your 6 kids and your wife anymore. It's not like you guys are sort of exercising these thoughts and demons internally on each other anymore. It's like it's less of the interpersonal counsel and more of like the single serving friends start to have more of an effect on your life because you're spending more time with them. So I think really the turning point onto why therapy has become so popular recently is because of the internet. And I think that it's because we've consumerized friendship and wise counsel in the way that what we do is, if you don't find people in your area that fit the particular niche of people that you want to associate with, you go and find them online, or you watch YouTube videos of that particular subculture or subgroup because you find a kinship with them in interests, but then you also are getting this sort of like synthesis of friendship through a TV screen. You know, you're basically like developing an interpersonal relationship with this person that you don't have any direct contact with. So I think that therapy is sort of like an offshoot of that in a sense, like as far as the modern, like consumerist quality of it is. Like, who wants to spend time fixing themselves or thinking really introspectively and putting themselves through tough things that build resiliency over time when you could simply use your insurance to go get free therapy from someone who's going to like agree with you and give you drugs to medicate you and make you better?
That's a psychiatrist.
Well, but still, you know what I'm saying. Like,
I refuse that path.
Yeah, but I think that there's an amount of the culture. They keep playing footsie.
No, I don't even care about that.
I think there's an amount of the culture, especially with the way the internet's played into it, where it's like we've sort of subsidized all these needs into like synthetic ways of getting them, which I think also ties into what we talked about last time with the modern like red pill hyper masculine movement. I think that that's sort of like a synthesis of having like a really masculine friend, or having a coach that's particularly influential on you, like growing up playing sports or something like that, or mentorship. I think a lot of these kids just like kind of grew up just like playing Fortnite when they got home from school and not socializing enough to like get the things that they need normally or organically. Like, there's no, to me it's like no kidding, like all these iPad kids are depressed and need like therapy. Like, of course they do. They don't talk to anyone, and if they do, it's on Kick or Twitch.
I'm very glad that, like, you know, I'm still old enough to where, like, you know, freshman year maybe you come home and you play some video games after school or something, but for so long, you know, because all that was kind of, the way gaming was still like, it was still getting to where it's going.
Yes.
And so like we still, you know, you might jump on and play for like an hour or two, but then you jump on your bikes and you still go ride around the neighborhood and go do a bunch of shit you're not supposed to do. Like, I'm very fortunate that I had people in my neighborhood that I could link up with and go do stuff, because like my little brother, for example, you know, like great dude and everything, but he like obsessively played video games. And I just feel like that's not healthy, man.
No, well, I mean, and think about
it hurts you socially.
It does, because people like that, like you can just tell that they're different because their social interactions. It's honestly, and this is not. I have to be careful how I say this, because this is what I'm trying to say is supposed to be semi-scientific in the way that I'm trying to say this, but it's not going to come out right. I just know it's not.
What, are you scared we're going to get canceled?
It doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that if you watch how autistic people learn how to build social behavior, they mirror and mimic like television shows and things that they like have specific interests in. Like not just like in how they would interact with the world, but like specific mannerisms and stuff like that. Like I grew up with this girl super sweet girl, like super wonderful, awesome person that I've known pretty much my whole life. But she, you know, has autism, and one of the things that like was always very apparent about her like social interactions was that like she always had like a catchphrase for something.
Dude, that's awesome.
Was, like from a TV show. Like if someone made a joke that like slightly had something to do with that, she would like
tie it in.
Yeah, or like that would be the punchline, you know, to the whole conversation would be her just being like, "Dun dun."
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's right. The best bit ever.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I love autistic people because they're like unintentionally some of the funniest.
I think it's just like a carefree thing too. It's like they're not really worried about being judged.
No, I think some of them are very like hyper.
The only thing that ever, you know the whole TikTok trend going on nowadays. Everybody's autistic. It's like there's so many videos.
Well, that's
and
kind of my point. Is that we're training ourselves, young people, the iPad kids, the super Gen Z like Zoomer people. They're training how to build up social interaction the same way autistic people do. They mirror these YouTubers and form like a personality based off of like being a Xerox of a YouTuber.
I was more so getting at, which I get what you're saying, but it just like the videos crack me up because it's always like a bunch of like people who might be a little weird or like a little quirky or whatever, and they're just like, well, actually, it's because, you know, or like if you do this or this, then you might be autistic. And I've always thought I've always thought that it was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And then I saw one, and it was like, you know, a lot of people don't know, but like a main trait or like a signifier signal as
identifier.
There you go, that one. Of like, you know, autism is if you're the type of person where you adapt to social interactions, or like if you adapt to the way people talk or act. That is a trait of autism. And I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, dude, if you put me around a bunch of country people, I start to talk country. If you put me around like my old form in Boston, you put me around him, I start sounding like I'm from New England. You put me wherever you put me, dude. I can't talk to people with real accents. Because if I do, I'll start talking that way, man.
I remember that one story that you told.
I was at the bar, dude, and this Irish guy.
This was so
He's
good.
straight from Ireland. I was at an Irish pub, and the guy who owns it, Miha, it's called the Lost Patty. If anybody actually listens to this, go there. It's a great place.
Yes.
Well, he's from Ireland, and it was like maybe his cousin or something came in. And he's a younger dude. He was probably, you know, close to my age or a little bit older. And I'm sitting there talking to him. And he's got an Irish accent. And as I'm talking to him, I start to notice myself saying things the way that he said. I had to like walk away, dude. I was like, I can't talk to this guy, man. He seems like a good enough dude, but I'm going to look like a freaking idiot, man.
Yeah, because you're just going to be like, oh, oity there, boy. Have some potatoes in your side there.
I get stuck, man. My coworker Tyler, I love him to death. I feel bad for him. 8 hours a day, he's got to listen to me just talking the worst Australian accent ever.
Is he Australian?
No, I am when I'm bored. Yeah, when I'm bored or if I have a few too many beers, all of a sudden I just start talking Australian.
Foster's only, though.
No, man, real Australian people don't drink Foster's.
Yeah, because it's made here.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
I like doing it if I go to like a restaurant or where nobody knows me. I like doing it sometimes just to mess with people because they're never really certain if it's real or not. Yeah, I've gotten free food because of it before.
Seriously? They're like, oh, you're from somewhere else,
right? Well, yeah. It was like I went to Cookout and it was me and my buddy Austin and we went to Cookout. And I was like, hey, hello, can I get like the number 3? Did the whole order and we come around. And these 2 girls walk up to the window and they were like, oh my God, where are you from? I was like, I'm just visiting from Australia. And they were like, well, where are you from? I was like, Brisbane, don't know if you've ever heard of it. And they were like, is this your first time to the States? And I was like, yeah. And so they were like, dude, they gave me like free hush puppies, like a free quesadilla. Like they were just like, you've got to try everything. It was the dumbest thing in the world, man.
That's such a good bit.
I love it, dude. I go places. You can be whoever you want.
It's
Nobody
so
knows you. Some people call it lying. Well, call it acting. That's the fallback too. If anybody's like, if you ever get caught, you just tell them that you're working on a role. You just tell them that you're character developing.
Are you ready for my pretentious?
Is this your alter ego?
Well, no. What I was it's just me being pretentious.
Your alter ego is an 80-year-old Jewish lawyer. That's
it's my spirit animal.
Yeah, that's what you are.
His name is Walt.
When you slip into the voice, you remind me of Mr. Whitey from 8 Crazy Nights. You remember him?
Yeah.
That's a technical foul. That's what you remind me of.
Oh, it's so
cracks
bad.
Me up.
It's so bad. No, I was just going to say that the Oscar Wilde play, The Importance of Being Earnest, the main character, well, not main character, but like the narrator, basically. That's what his entire character. It's really what the entire show is based around. Is he goes into the city because he lives in the country and he's like very well to do, but he realizes that no one in the city knows him, like even though he's super rich. So he just comes up with crazy characters and goes into the city and like basically just like picks up chicks and like goes around town like just being whoever he wants to be, until he decides to go out one night and tell everyone that he's his friend Ernest, and it becomes a very crazy, like spider's web of stuff after that. But what I'm saying is that's not a new concept. People love to do this. You go out and just kind of role play like dumb, people that aren't yourself when you're in a social situation. But it's interesting now how quickly you could be caught. Well, yeah. I mean, social media has just made it impossible.
Well, I
to
mean,
hold it up for very long, because like you couldn't have taken those girls anywhere and kept that up. Like even if you could keep the accent up the whole night.
Well, the second I run into somebody,
that's what I'm saying. Like
if you didn't know,
it would be so difficult.
If you didn't know. So if I took a girl, to pub, and you just happened to be at pub, the second I walk in and you approach me and you're just like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "Oh yeah," I would know immediately. Like, "That jig is up. It's done." Because the second I started talking to you and I was like, "Oh shit, what's going on, mate?" You'd be like, "Why are you talking like that? You fucking idiot."
Okay.
I guess we're doing this right now. Yeah, I caught immediately.
But that's the thing, in like the 1960s even, 70s, you could totally do... I was watching a true crime thing the other day. I think it took place in the 70s. This woman, like, totally, like, just ripped off a bank and went to a different country under a bunch of, just bullshit information, like, across the board. But no one questioned it. Like, she was, like, making passports, like, in her bedroom and crap like that. Like, things that would never even come close to flying that. Like, no, you couldn't even, like, have the start of this plan. But it's funny because, like, people, like, glorify this shit. Like, in hindsight, they'll be like, oh, well, this master criminal did this thing. And it's like... One that particularly gets on my nerves and does of the casual criminalist guy that I've talked about a couple times. They were called Leopold and Lode, something like that. They were these French guys who thought that they were so smart because they like went to this big university or whatever. They thought they were so smart that they were going to engineer the perfect murder, and they pretty much got caught within like 2 days of like committing the murder. And most of it was because they used like a defective typewriter that like they traced the typeface back to like almost instantly. But they went down in history as being like these master criminals. But they were just like they just went to like a good university and got caught like almost immediately. Like in today's world, they would be like the laughing stock of true crime.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that goes for a lot of true crime cases.
Or just history, really.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, dude, of course they got away with it, because guess what, man? Fingerprinting analysis wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah,
it's like,
that wasn't, DNA, like, wasn't a thing until, like,
even Jack the Ripper. Like, they talk about, like, Jack the Ripper, like, he was some, like, demigod of murder, and it's like, no, dude, they... What are you talking about?
I bet you find
street
anything.
lamps, dude. Yeah. Of course he got away with it. What are you talking about, dude?
The police officers were literally just like fat guys with bulldogs, like on, you know, the street corners occasionally. It's so...
And
it's
guess what?
so funny.
They just had billy clubs.
Literally. They didn't even have guns. All they could do is go,
get back over here, you rascal.
Alright, get in the dog.
Yeah.
The dog is out of breath before he even moves.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's
just funny. Like, history conflates stuff so much.
This is so off topic, but I meant to ask you this when we were talking about the mental health things. While we were talking about that, we were talking about like how we used to deal with stuff. It made me think for a second, like, you know, because I was saying everybody like buried their emotions and did this.
Yeah.
But that's where some of like the most beautiful poetry came from, was like that era. What happened to that? Because I keep seeing just the absolute worst hot garbage poetry nowadays. All new poetry is garbage poetry. It's all terrible.
So here's my hot take on that one.
Where do the good poets go?
I think this goes beyond poetry, but I think this is really what happened. I think we traded honor and virtue for stuff.
Clout.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, because, like, here's the thing. You look at a post-war Britain, right? They're very unified, very proud of the fact that they got through the war. But there's this, like, national sense of tragedy. Everyone just feels it so heavy, like... Because, I mean, there were, you know, bombs on their turf, and, you know, had to... from what I, you know, have gathered, they had to, like, walk through, like, their crumbled streets.
I think we might have stopped.
Oh, really?
Well, you're no longer lighting up on the interface.
Let's find out.
Well, look at that, guys. I ruined the show.
It's fine. So anyway, what I was saying was, if you look at like a post-war Britain, or if you look at honestly, anytime that like sort of a big thing happens, like war, you see a lot of like really great
unification
art come out of that, and unification, But I think the reason for that is that there's a lot of bravery and a lot of resiliency and a lot of courage behind it. And the problem, what?
I just want to say something really stupid.
What?
But I just feel like I shouldn't. You're talking about tragedy and the stuff that we get out of it, and my stupid brain was like, yeah, man, without 9/11, we wouldn't have Toby Keith.
Is it bad that I was kind of thinking something similar?
I mean, that's, you know.
But, like, legitimately, though, I think that it's super easy to get good art out of something you have to, like, struggle through.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, I agree.
Whereas you don't see people doing that nowadays. Like, you don't see people, like... This is what happens. They harbor the emotional damage. They don't ever let it back out in a creative or positive way. So it just kind of like festers and becomes necrotic, and then it just becomes depression. And then they might get creative because of the depression, because they're too lazy to do it up front.
I was going to say that when we were talking about mental health too, is, you know, it's really unhealthy to think this way, but I saw a meme and I related to it, because it's like, what happens if I cure my depression and then I stop being funny? You know, like, that's kind of scary. That's a scary thing.
Yeah.
What happens if I can't write good music anymore? All of my stuff is depressing.
But that's the thing. I think that the ideal way to do it is to sort of train yourself out of that by going, okay, when something happens that could be like that starting point, that catalyst for creativity or for making a song, instead of just like dwelling on that emotion forever, immediately go to writing it down. Immediately go to process the feeling. Because I think that's the difference. Like when you're in a foxhole on the battlefield and you're having all of these emotions of like, oh, I'm never going to see my wife and kids again. There's that urgency to start writing something down. And it might come out poetically because you're in a very extreme, scary, emotional circumstance. However, with what we're talking about on the inverse, what we normally do is go, oh, this breakup just happened. This sucks. I'm going to dwell in my feelings and drink about it for 6 months, and then maybe a year from now I'll have a song written. But you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Is like as soon as the heartbreak happens, maybe that's when pen should hit paper.
Shit, dude, I was writing some songs just because I knew it was coming.
Right? Yeah.
It's almost like you can feel it.
Yeah.
You know? You're like, well, better get this one going. Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you want to do our new segment now?
Oh, you want to do that right now?
Yes.
Oh, dude, I don't know if I can.
Come on, you can BS some lyrics.
Oh, dude, you put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I've got all this caffeine in my body. I'm like shaky. My hands are sweating for some reason. I think I'm having a panic attack. I think that's like
dying.
That's like my normal state. The sweater was a bad idea too, because originally, which we'll probably just talk about next week, is I was gonna make you talk about Christmas and Christmas movies and like the tie-in between Christian Christmas and paganism. Is, you know, so I was like, oh, wear the cowboy Santa sweater, but it's like a million degrees up here, right? Yeah, are you hot?
No, not at all.
Okay, it's just me then. What were you playing earlier?
Oh, yeah. We'll do that one.
Are we going to do it the same way? You're going to play off of each other?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, you got to start though.
I'm just going to come up with like a parody, like dumb song.
Are you going pop?
I'm going to do pop punk, but it's going to be like nonsense lyrics.
Alright, I'll try to follow. I don't see this going well.
The other day, I pissed on fire hydrant.
I'm a dog, not a Great Dane. Lately I feel a lot more like a Chihuahua.
'Cause I'm an emasculated dog. I don't got much going on.
And my owner took my balls. That really sucks.
And now, when I go to the dog park, they look at me and don't bark.
Man, that's sad, man. And now, every time that I go on a walk, I'm scared to see my cock, 'cause there's
another emasculated dog. Something is quite wrong. They took away my balls behind my schlong.
I don't think I have anything else for this. See, it's hard to recreate perfection because when we first were doing it, it sounded like every other shitty pop punk song. It was great.
I mean, that sounded like a shitty pop punk.
That sounded like old Blink-182.
A little bit.
Yeah, they literally have a song called, I don't know if I actually can say that song title on camera. I wanna do a dog in the butt. It's probably the nicest way to play it. They put that on an album.
That's crazy.
It's called I Wanna Fuck a Dog in the Ass.
That's terrible.
It's hilarious, but awful.
Why were they like this?
I don't know, man. I miss them though, because they're not good anymore.
No.
It's all terrible.
It was all terrible. Did we do another one?
You better come out swinging with some motivation.
Oh God, okay.
That sounds good.
Thanks. I've been thinking.
Oh shit, we're going country?
About a pack of Marlboro Reds that sunk down to my floorboard. Now they're all pretty dead.
Take me home, Colt 45. Don't let me swerve. I feel alive. I don't know why. I don't know why I went there, but
it's okay. I drive a tractor on the highway, 'cause I ain't learned no manners and I'm stuck in my ways.
So you're just gonna ride that tempo?
Yeah.
I can't do this right.
I drive a tractor on the road
just to piss them off how slow I go.
Campfire song.
I freaking hate that song. That's the worst. Write a Goo Goo Dolls song.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what the vocalist sounds like.
And I'd give up forever to hold you.
Songs about my cat.
Oh my god.
Well, I've got some fluff in my couch at home. I got some catnip that will never fully grow. And now I finally found you. The claw marks under my skin.
Oh, Jesus Christ, how depressed is this cat, man? it's eating the catnip before it can even grow. It's like, dude.
I don't know. I think that's my best Goo Goo Dolls for. Yeah.
Oh. See, now you're getting into like, you're back in that early 2000s. What was that first lick you were just about to play? Okay.
I don't know. Something.
This is the problem with picking up a guitar. Now you're stuck. I can see the music video for this. They're standing in like a dark. It's like the Daredevil music video.
Dipped for 70 years.
Where's that coming from? Who are you channeling there?
Deep South black metal.
The worst genre of music.
The worst genre of music. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I don't know how to sing that. Who is that? I genuinely don't know.
Well, it's Disturbed. Like that's the
What?
version I was doing, but
Oh, they sing that song?
oh, they did a cover of it. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I hate that band. This is for the lions living in the wiry, broke down frames of my friends' bodies. It's arguably the best song ever written. I will help you swim.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. I do love the front bottoms, man. I can't help it.
Speaking of which, we now officially have to have the front bottoms aficionado on here.
Who?
Tidwell.
Oh, yeah.
Because he went ahead and did an open mic night.
Did we get video proof of that?
No.
How did he do? Did he say?
He didn't say, but I
have faith in him. We'll have him on.
Yeah. He's going to become a prodigy of
comedy.
Of comedy.
If any of us are, I'm too scared, man. Every time I go to Jokes and Smokes,
you think about putting your name in the bowl.
I think about putting my name in the bowl, but I see how many put their name in the bowl, and it's not a lot. Yeah. And so, like, I'm scared the odds of my name in the bowl are pretty high.
You're gonna go up there,
right? And then I'm gonna have to confront that, and that's terrifying. And I have like 3 hours of just material written down that I will probably never do.
You should. I wish you would.
I wish I would too.
Step back from that list.
Dude, I write and play music and could easily probably book a gig, and I just am...
You should definitely do that.
Too scared.
Especially because we're gonna make an album for you, but...
Yeah, it's scary though, man.
That's fine. You'll live.
I'll be up there like, this is a song that I wrote. I feel like I'm gonna forget everything. I feel like I'm gonna forget everything. Do you know? So, plus my biggest deal is I don't want to play covers, and that's very pretentious of me because I'm a nobody as far as the music scene goes.
You gotta do a couple covers when you're doing these things. You gotta do a couple, but you do have covers that you do.
I do, but it's not. I feel like it's not stuff most people would want to like. Here, like it's a lot of like Zach Bryan, Tyler Childers, Coldplay, like.
But it's fitting to your aesthetic, which is, I think, my metric for what's a good cover.
But it's not fitting for my music. It's weird to go from,
like, I don't know that that's necessarily true. You could go from a Zach Bryan song into your stuff.
Maybe.
I mean, you're obviously different stylistically, but I think that that's forgivable. You just got to do it both with the same amount of emphasis. It's actually something I've been thinking about a lot recently because I've been getting back into metal, and so much of metal is just like stupid. It's kind of cringe.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like just as a thing.
Yeah.
Especially like power metal and like stuff that's just like medieval and like.
I can't stand it.
I can't either. But what's funny to me about
this is Viking metal.
Right. Yeah, it's that stuff. It's it's LARP. It's music LARP. But what I find interesting is like either they're completely delusional or they're totally in on the joke, which I am hoping that they're totally in on the joke. But they do it with such vigor and confidence. It's crazy to me.
The funniest part to me is... I would
feel like an idiot.
Vikings wouldn't have even listened to that.
Not at all.
Back then, all music was kind of the same.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, somebody's got like a lute. Yeah. And they're all by the fire. Like, yeah, Vikings were vicious. Not during music time, though. No. Not during music time. No. Nobody was. They're all singing yo-hos and chants. And
yeah.
It's very community. You know?
They weren't sitting around going, man, my Marshall really sounds like...
Yeah.
Yeah, Vikings were not going, can you make it gent?
Yeah. I have a hard time believing that the lyrics were like, we store pillage,
we store pillage.
I don't think that's what it was, man.
Yeah, no, it's not just murderous death and, and pillaging.
But that's what all the Viking metal tries to come across as.
Yeah, well, the pirate metal is the same way.
Yeah, freaking dude, cannot stand people who listen to pirate music.
It's just metal with accordions.
That's all it is. What was that stupid song going around for a while? And like the opening of it was like yo ho, and it like goes into like I can't stand shanty music.
Someone did that at karaoke the other night. At level 3.
That is embarrassing.
It was very embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
The only person that knew it was
him.
was him and his equally like goth girlfriend who was like running the DJ booth. It was just them screaming pirate music at the top of their lungs.
That's awful.
Terrible.
I don't even like listening to like Irish music. It's a little
really
too
throwing the Irish under the bus today.
It's just it's so similar to just like shanty music. I don't know. Like,
what is it about shanty music that is so particularly cringe? Because it is cringe.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
There's a thing there.
I don't know. I think it's because it's not 1646 anymore. I think that's what it is. I don't even know when pirates
Wait, you mean
were around.
Napoleon is
I don't even know when
still
pirates
the reigning
were around,
monarch of the world?
When were pirates? The 1400s?
No. Now I'm going to sound stupid. It was after America. Like, it was after colonies were here. Yes.
No.
It was the golden age of pirates. Yeah, because
No.
the whole thing was the trading route.
Dude, there's no... Well...
And
you're starting to make a lot of sense.
and they were also in American territories because they were in...
Dude, I was close, man.
Well, okay, what was it then?
Pirates were active between 1650 and 1720.
Well, okay, 1700s would have been like early colonialism. But not that bad.
Okay, but America wasn't around then because we signed the Declaration of Independence in 1776.
It's
technically 1775.
Yeah.
It just didn't go into effect until 1776.
Good job, Dalton.
When were the colonies developed then? Because technically, I guess it would have...
1600s. Yeah. No, maybe
Well,
not. Listen. Either way.
The era of piracy in the Caribbean...
that
began in the 1500s and phased out in the 1830s.
So long running in the Caribbean. I just remembered like hearing things about like the Americas in context of pirate
colonies
times. But maybe I'm wrong.
1607.
Okay. So yeah.
Look at that.
We just forget how old we are, I guess. Because it seems like forever ago.
Well, listen, I mean, technically, the Americas have been around since the Earth has. So,
you have a point. You have a point.
You know? It's pretty old.
No, Dalton, really, the only reason you think that way is because you're still living inside of the ice wall.
What is the ice wall?
You just haven't broken out.
Are we flat earthing? Is that what we're talking about?
That was what I was...
What do they call the dome again? The firmament?
Yeah, the firmament.
Yeah.
So stupid.
I love people. And their theories.
It just hurts me. It like physically hurts me.
All theories are equally stupid in my opinion.
I agree with that.
So, like that's what I was trying to tell, and I'm not trying to sound disrespectful when I say this by any means, but it's like I was talking to this guy Tyler that I work with. Not this is a different Tyler that I worked with at National Machine.
Okay.
And, I've told you about him before. He is both very religious, but also a flat earther. Yes. And so,
they go hand in hand for some reason.
Yeah, I don't get it. But, because they'll find scripture that tries to try to twist it to justify.
Yeah.
Scripture's been getting twisted for pretty much since it was invented.
Yes. Very true.
But
even in the time of Jesus.
Yeah, he was trying to tell you, what do you think happened? The Big Bang, how dumb it sounds that a giant explosion happened from nothing and now everything's here. And I was like, yeah, it sounds as equally dumb as saying there's one sole creator. Like
it all sounds equally dumb when you take such a macro approach.
If you look at it from an outside perspective, all of it is equally dumb. It's just which one are you willing to put your faith in? And that's why I say I'm not saying it to sound disrespectful, because I'm not saying you're dumb if you believe in Christianity or whatever. If you believe in God and Jesus, that is.
But if you believe
as
the
wild
Earth
as
is
not
flat,
believing it,
that's pretty dumb.
It's
pretty dumb.
If you believe the Earth is flat, you need to get evaluated.
Here's how I feel about it. You can say all the theory stuff around it all that you want to, and that's fine. Talk about all the different hypotheses you want, right? The moment that real empirical evidence shows up to prove you are not right about what you're saying, that's when you have to second guess your whole viewpoint. You have to redo all the math. But they don't do that. They just go, nope, we're going to continue to be ignorant. Well, doesn't matter.
You know, even the people who've sent cameras up on weather balloons or, you know, anything like that, the argument is always the same. And it's like, oh, it's not the right kind of camera. The camera is what makes it look round. It's a fisheye lens, blah, blah, blah. What do you want me to do? You want me to go up there myself with a Kodak disposable camera from the CVS?
Let me get a Polaroid of the Earth real quick for you.
It just doesn't make any sense, dude.
Well, and then the other thing with that in particular is, like, they've done, like, experiments. Like, flat earthers have paid for the experiments.
Yeah.
Like the really
documentary
famous
on
one.
Netflix?
Well, that one's one.
Where they put the like $100,000 gyroscopic laser underground.
Yeah.
And they were like,
measured curvature.
Yeah, yes. Well, yeah, because it was like, you know, it measured rotation.
Oh, yeah,
and
that one was rotation.
So, yeah, they were like, we're going to do, you know, they left it there for like 6 weeks or something.
Right.
And when they dug it up, they were like, there's not going to be any readings, because if there were readings, it would prove that the Earth is
round
and like rotating,
right.
You know, like they dig it up and then it has readings, and they're like, we set it up wrong, we're going to redo it.
Right, yeah,
we're going to redo it.
This was human error. This is not the fault of the Earth because it's totally flat. My favorite one is the one where the guy went, okay, here's the thing. If you put a flagpole, I don't know if it's a flagpole, but if you put like a long, you know, pole structure on a boat and you put it out to sea, if the Earth is really curved, eventually it'll curve down and away, but it's not going to, because if you ever look at a boat out on sea and you use your binoculars and look at it, it's perfectly flat on the water. So they put the boat out and just immediately falls off the curve as soon as it goes past the horizon line. Yeah, it just starts going down and down and down. He's like, well, maybe something happened to the boat. And you're like, no, nothing happened to the boat. You're just ignorant.
That's awesome.
You have to get over this.
He might have taken the pole down. You know? The pole probably snapped.
Look, wind is an interesting substance. It's made of liquid, not air. They're backwards about everything. It's ridiculous.
I think wind's crazy.
Wind is crazy.
I know what it is, but
My
I don't
cat
know
hates it.
Really?
Yeah, she
I hate it when
like
it's 20 degrees outside.
Yeah, dude.
Nothing makes me more fucking mad than when it's cold, and then guess what? It gets
wind.
colder.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I needed.
Well, anything else for us today?
I have nothing.
Okay. Well, this has been another episode of
Just
After
Midnight.
Goodbye, everybody.
After midnight.